Coming up on the Blerd Breakdown, will two major trades actually make these NFL teams contenders for the Super Bowl now? A billionaire throws a temper tantrum for people doing their job. Diddy lawsuits are flying left, right, and center, and some DCU and MCU news coming up right now. So strap in, baby. It's going to be a crazy one. Let's get it. What's good, everybody, and welcome to the Blerd Breakdown, the pop culture show for when you need to know. See, what had happened was, now, if this is your first time here, please be sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know every time I'm dropping new content, man. And definitely throw a like on this video and get in the comments. Let me know what's going on. So this is going to be right now the full show. The clips should be coming out over the next couple of hours after that. So if you just want to see the individual stories, you can do that. But I appreciate you watching this and watching the clips, man. Even if you just run in the background, it just helps the page out right now. We don't have sponsors quite yet, man. So, running that so that the ads run, all that kind of stuff, it means the world. But the main reason I'm here is so that I can give you these stories, man. I can give you my thoughts, and then you can get in the comments and tell me what you think. So with that, let's jump into it. All right, if you haven't heard, there were two massive trades that happened within a few hours of each other. Davante Adams is leaving the Raiders, and Amari Cooper is leaving the Browns, with Adams rejoining Aaron Rodgers up in New York, Amari Cooper joining Josh Allen in Buffalo. So this is going to be from ESPN, Rich Cremini and Daniel Oyofusi. Sorry for butchering your names, gentlemen. Determined to save their season from ruin and preserve their hopes of ending a half-century Super Bowl drought, the New York Jets finalized a blockbuster trade for star wide receiver Davante Adams on Tuesday. The Las Vegas Raiders received a 2025 conditional third-round pick in the trade. The pick could improve to a second-round selection, sources told ESPN's Adam Schefter, if Adams is a first- or second-team All-Pro this season or is on the Jets' active roster for the AFC Championship game or Super Bowl. The trade reunites Adams and quarterback Aaron Rodgers to recreate one of the most dangerous duos in NFL history. "We're back, man," Adams said while briefly joining Rodgers at the Jets facility in Florham Park, New Jersey for the quarterback's weekly appearance on the Pat McAfee Show. "We're back. Obviously, I'm really excited," Rodgers added. "It's on us now. We're going all in." Adams restructured his contract to lower his salary cap number this season to $3.21 million, sources told Schefter. 2 voidable years were added to the deal, and the two sides now will discuss his future in New York after the season. Jets interim coach Jeff Ulbrich was non-committal on whether Adams will make his Jets debut on Sunday at night against the Steelers. Adams sounded optimistic about his chances, saying his injured hamstring is feeling great. He missed the past 3 games. Yeah, I'm sure it does feel great, bro. A source, however, told Schefter that Adams expected to make his debut indeed. The Jets, 2-4, losers of 3 straight, made the agreement before Monday night's 23-20 loss to the Buffalo Bills. Adams took a red-eye flight to New Jersey, landing early Tuesday morning, went into the facility to take a physical, and finalized the trade. He's not only an elite player, as we all know, but the relationship with him and Aaron just takes his value to a whole other space for us, Ulbrich said. In the span of 7 days, the Jets have fired Coach Robert Saleh and made one of the splashiest trades in team history amid owner Woody Johnson's go-for-broke edict for 2024. The NFL League meeting in Atlanta on Tuesday, Johnson was almost incredulous when asked whether the season is salvageable. Salvageable, we're going to kick ass. You can add the words after that. I did for you, sir. We're going to do really well. Adams, who turns 32 on December 24th, is a 6-time Pro Bowl selection who achieved his greatest success with Rodgers as his quarterback in Green Bay. From 2014 to 2021, they combined for 615 completions, 7,529 yards, and 68 touchdowns. They were the NFL's second most prolific tandem over that span, trailing only Matt Ryan and Julio Jones of the Atlanta Falcons. Adams joins a crowded wide receiver core that includes emerging star Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, and Allen Lazard. The Jets also have Xavier Gipson, who handles punt and kickoff returns, and rookie Malachi Corley. It'll be up to the passing game coordinator Todd Downey, put in charge of the offense amid last week's coaching shakeup, to make it work. The Jets believe Adams' presence will create opportunities for Wilson, who has been drawing double coverage. Wilson and Rodgers struggled to connect early in the season, but Wilson is coming off his 2 most productive games with 21 catches, 208 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He's the most targeted player in the league, but some of those targets now figure to go to Davante. I think it's really going to help Garrett out, Rodgers told of Adams' presence. Williams, 10 catches, 145 yards, has struggled to produce and could be the odd man out. On Monday night, he ran the wrong route in the Jets' final play, and the result was an interception. It's the second straight game which Rodgers' final pass was intercepted. Williams was targeted on both. The Jets could look to trade Williams, whom they signed to a one-year, $10 million contract in the offseason. The Raiders will carry a dead cap charge of $13.67 million in 2024, $15.7 million in 2025 after trading Adams, according to Sport Track. Meanwhile, the Buffalo Bills acquired Amari Cooper in a trade Tuesday with the Cleveland Browns, adding a true number one wide receiver for star quarterback Josh Allen. The Bills received Cooper and a 2025 sixth-round draft pick for a 2025 third-round pick and a seventh-round selection in 2026. Cooper, 30, fills the number one receiver void for the Bills that was open when Buffalo traded Stephon Diggs to the Houston Texans before the season. Recent weeks, the Browns have fielded multiple offers on Cooper, who is in the final season of a 5-year deal he originally signed as a member of the Dallas Cowboys. The fact that Cleveland converted the majority of Cooper's $20 million base salary into a signing bonus made him more attractive as a trade candidate. After recording a career-high 1,250 receiving yards in 2023, Cooper has struggled with the Browns' offense that has failed to score 20 points in each of its first 6 games. That's not his fault. That is Deshaun Watson. Cooper leads Cleveland with 250 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, but his 4.7 yards per target ranks second worst in the NFL among qualifying pass catchers. His 3 drops are also tied for 6th most in the league. Move a Russ, Cooper said in an Instagram story, "We appreciate Amari's hard work, professionalism, and on-field contributions throughout his 2+ seasons with us," the Browns general manager Andrew Berry said in a statement. "Created many memorable moments with us and was an integral part of the 2023 playoff team. We wish him the best in Buffalo as he continues his NFL career." Adding Cooper gives the Bills significant and needed help at wide receiver. Without Diggs, the team embraced an everybody eats mindset with the goal of getting a variety of players involved in the offense at all times. But too often, especially in these past 3 games, receivers struggle to get open downfield. Bills wide receivers ranked 25th or worse in targets, receptions, receiving yards, and receiving first downs. The Bills released wide receiver Marquez Valdez-Scantling on Tuesday to open a roster spot for Cooper. Cooper is a 5-time Pro Bowl selection, has 691 receptions, 9,736 yards, 62 touchdowns in his 10-season career. It's the 3rd time he's been traded in his career. The Raiders traded with the Cowboys in 2018, and then Dallas traded to the Browns in 2022. All right, that's a lot going on there, man. That's a lot of story I just went through, so let's just hop into it. I think that this instantly makes the Bills back into the conversation for Super Bowl threat. I have to wait and see on the Jets. Aaron Rodgers does not look like the Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers heyday Davante Adams level. Davante is obviously not him still in that regard, but if Davante's at a 10 at his peak, he's still at a 9.5. So I still think that this is a great trade, especially from a standpoint of if the point is to go all in right now, you don't know if Aaron is going to be beyond this season or the next season after that. Great. But again, as I've said with the Jets, if you don't pay Hassan Reddick, who you also spent all that money to go get, I just don't know if you have enough of the sauce to make it happen. Like, the defense is already a banger, but you need that full-on crazy-ass difference maker there. I also do worry about Garrett Wilson. I do think it will help. I think that CeeDee Lamb, for example, did benefit from having Amari Cooper there first to kind of take some of the pressure off, to up his skills and all that stuff. Garrett Wilson is already a beast. Don't get me wrong, and I think just by the nature of Davante being there, it'll give him the opportunity to further develop, and then eventually, he'll probably shift back. If Adam stays, he'll shift back into number 1 and Davante into 2 as time goes on. But I do like it for Davante because he's clearly been unhappy. He's been very unhappy in Las Vegas. If you haven't seen it, go check out Netflix's Receiver. It was a great docuseries. They did the first one called Quarterback, and that followed Patrick Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, and Marcus Mariota. There we go. And that season in which the Chiefs won the Super Bowl over the Eagles. And then this past year, though, they did Receiver, and Receiver followed Davante Adams, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I might be missing one, but I think it was just those 4. But it was really following their tales as receivers and how their life kind of plays out and the drama that unfolds and things like that. And I really, really, really enjoyed both those series. I'm now on to the NBA thing they've done called Starting Five. But I say all that to say that Davante made it very clear. He works hard. He wants to win. He has the sauce to do so. But the Raiders are another one of those organizations that can't decide if they're going to get their act together or not. There's definitely some organizations that have been marquee in the past, have had really great owners and fan bases and stuff like that, but in this modern era have been a dumpster fire. I'm going to talk about one that may or may not be important to me in a moment here. But the Raiders, and honestly the Jets too, have both been dumpster fires. So I'm curious to see if this actually does make any changes to how the Jets operate, if they do find a way to really challenge in the division. You had a close game against the Bills. I might be looking at replacing a kicker. There's a reason why the Cowboys cut Zerline. That motherfucker misses too many goddamn field goals, and you would have potentially won the game had he not missed, I think, like 3, something like that. So we'll see what happens. But again, I'm happy for Davante. You know, Aaron Rodgers is his boy. They really did make magic happen when they were together again. So there's a part of me that really hopes that that's what happens for him, that he sees a lot of success with the Jets. And if my homie Ed Haskell is watching this, for his sake too, because I know he's a big Jets fan. Now, as far as Amari Cooper, I'm really happy for him as well. It's clear that the Browns are just saying, F it, we're screwed. Like, we haven't had Chubb so far this year, and he's aging too, so even when he gets healthy, who knows where that's coming. Deshaun Watson is absolute dog shit. I do feel a little bad that Jameis Winston is just kind of sitting there. Like, let him start, because clearly Watson is not good. So I'm glad they let Amari go. I like Amari Cooper. And I think that this now makes the Bills a legitimate threat. Like, yeah, they got on like a pretty hot start at the beginning of the season, and Josh Allen was playing lights out. But there is a problem. When you don't have that difference maker in the skill position, it does hurt you. You're only going to get so far, because, like, I even look at everything that Patty's done. He's at least had a Kelsey or a Tariq every single time. He's always had that difference maker in the skill position. There wasn't anybody crazy good in the receiving core of, the Bills after letting Stephon Diggs go that I was like, yeah, they're going to get it done. You brought in that rookie, but in the early second round, but he's going to need time to develop. He wasn't a Malik Neighbors who's instant superstar, or like what Odell Beckham was when he came in. You didn't end up with that. So adding Amari Cooper gives you that number one receiver who will go and get what you need. And as he is drawing doubles, now these dudes have a better chance of getting open themselves. And I genuinely think the Bills' offense becomes deadly. And once James Cook is really kind of healthy again, because it doesn't sound like it's anything crazy debilitating, then they're going to be on a roll. So I like both of these trades. I think it's crazy that the Browns got more for Amari now than the Cowboys did, back in 2018 when he was in his peak. It's kind of infuriating, and it's going to get me to my next story yet again. But let me know what you think down in the comments about these two trades. Do you think that this is the moment that's going to really take these teams to the next level? Who do you think is going to win the division now? Tua is supposed to be back soon for Miami. I don't think the Patriots are going to do anything, but, Drake May is now playing, and he looks pretty decent. But now both of these teams making huge pushes to upgrade their rosters now and try and make sure that they solidify the division. Who do you think is taking the AFC East? Let me know down in the comments. Let's go to the next story. So if you didn't hear, Jerry Jones, being the ridiculously old billionaire that he is, he has been on the radio show on The Fan, a radio station down in Dallas, weekly. He is on there to talk about the Cowboys, his dealings, things like that. He is the one that actually executive produces said show, right? So he was on the show, and he got asked some questions about the Cowboys' woes, and he decided to be a prick about it. This is going to be the ESPN reporting on Todd Archer, and I'm also going to play a little bit of that for you. But here we go. Jerry Jones got heated during his weekly radio appearance Tuesday when he was about to be asked whether the Dallas Cowboys' lack of aggressiveness in the offseason has played a part in their 3-3 start. The Cowboys' longtime owner and general manager appeared to even threaten the jobs of hosts Shan Sheriff, RJ Choppy, and Bobby Belt.
You think I'm interested on a damn phone call with you over a radio? and sitting here and throwing all the good out with the dishwater. You have got to be smoking something over there this morning. This is not your job. Your job isn't to let me go over all the reasons that I did something and I'm sorry that I did it. That's not your job. So I'll get somebody else to ask these questions, man.
Jerry, we're trying to figure out why the team is.
I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. You're not going to figure out what the team is doing right or wrong. If you are, or any 5 or 10 like you need to come to this meeting I'm going to today. There are 32 teams here. You're geniuses. Don't really think you're going to sit here with a microphone and tell me all of the things that I've done wrong and without going over the rights. You want some conversation this morning? You're getting it.
Jones was traveling Tuesday to Atlanta for the Fall NFL League meeting, but the fallout from the Cowboys' worst home loss during his tenure, a 47-9 defeat to the Detroit Lions, is still ringing. Jones backed the strength of the Cowboys roster, saying, well, first of all, where are you going to get any players? Seriously, where are you going to get any players for next week against San Francisco? Jones referring to the Cowboys' next game following their Week 7 bye. Now, number one, I've seen these players. I've seen every single one of them execute like you want the plays to be executed and do their job within the role. That didn't happen the other day, and we paid the consequences for it. But I've seen the players do it. Jones mentioned Dallas's recent record-breaking deals with quarterback Dak Prescott and wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, and also cited Dallas's short-handed defense, which was ravaged by injuries in recent weeks. I know we have outstanding personnel, he said, very outstanding personnel. We just made our quarterback the highest-paid player in the NFL. We just topped the receiver list charts. So we made our bed relative to how we're going to approach with our key people. We were short-handed out there on defense, but everybody gets short-handed. That's really not an excuse in the NFL. Your depth should step up, blah, 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 blah. Now, I'm going to give Dallas a lot of credit. Detroit a lot of credit. They came after us and got after us, and they put guys on top defense, blah-de-blah-de-blue. Earlier in the interview, Jones did not let a question get finished about a potential head coaching change with Mike McCarthy, noting he had done so one time in 2010 from Wade Phillips to Jason Garrett, and I won't be making any others during the season, he said. The Cowboys were 1-7 at the time of Wade Phillips' dismissal, and Jones expressed some regret about the move because Phillips went on to win a Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos as their defensive coordinator. Jones said that in-season coaching changes generally aren't good, and they usually are ineffective. They just aren't good. Cowboys are ranked 25th in defense in terms of yards and 30th in points per game after finishing last year 5th in both categories. They have had numerous injuries to overcome, including 4 starters who have missed at least one game: Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Eric Kendricks, and Deron Bland. Offensively, they're averaging just 21 points a game after finishing first last year with 29.9 points per contest. The Cowboys' 11 giveaways are the second most in the league. All right, look. The one thing Jerry has going for him, and that's something that can be said a million times over, he has literally the highest valuated sports team in the world, and has for, I want to say it's been almost a decade. It could have been maybe 5 to 7 years, but it's something insane where he passed Man U, he passed the Yankees, all that, and the Cowboys have held that spot down and continue to gain billions in valuation every single year. So for that, good on you, Jerry. Way to go, buddy. As far as everything else, though, this is the most disrespectful, ridiculous thing that I have ever seen. I don't give a shit if you're the billionaire and you're their boss, and that's part of the problem with the boss coming on the show one way or the other, because this wasn't like hey, Jerry, so what about this whole story we've heard about you out here on party buses with females? You know what I'm talking about? Go look up the photos with Jerry doing all sorts of, crazy shit. Like if Robert Kraft, all the massage shit that was going on, if Robert Kraft had his radio show that he was going on to talk about the Patriots and they were asking him a bunch of questions about that, and that's completely different. Because, he should be called out about it. But if it's your radio show, I can understand the idea of look, let that be handled with other media. Let that be handled in the courts. Don't bring that. If that's what you're talking about, sure. It's not what this was. This was a conversation where the Cowboys are bad. You have decided to make yourself GM. You've been told a million times you're not a good GM. And truthfully, you're not, bro. For example, the things you do well as a GM, I actually think that a lot of your draft picks are stellar. We've had some of the best O-lines we've ever seen. The studs like Ezekiel Elliott and Des Bryant and CeeDee Lamb, finding Dak where you found him. He's very good at drafting, him and Steven. I give him all the credit in the world for that. But to know that in the offseason, the two major issues that we had no run game and we had no run defense, and you don't fix either. You bring back Zeke. I love Zeke, and if you want to have him as a backup type situation, fine. But you couldn't find $6 million to go get Derrick Henry, who was probably going to break 2,000 yards yet again with the Baltimore Ravens this year and make them a Super Bowl contender. You can't go and find pieces to put on the run defense. And on top of that, it's very clear that the coach that really had everybody going, the coach that really was making things happen for the Cowboys was Dan Quinn. And you not only let him walk to a division rival where they now, with their rookie quarterback, are, I believe, either 5-1 or 4-2, something like that, where they're rolling with Jaden Daniels. That defense is playing hard. They're playing the same hard-nosed defense that we were seeing out of us last year that put us in those fifth-place categories. So you let him walk. You keep the crappy coach, and then don't add personnel. You only lose them as far as, like, being able to solve problems. Like, bro, you deserve those questions and more. And for you to then turn around and tell these gentlemen who are just doing their job, and as it is implied, being the fan, trying to ask questions that we are all saying, the people that make your damn franchise as valued as it is, asking some simple questions of why didn't you fix this stuff, and you want to cop an attitude? I get it was this was the worst defeat on your birthday, but bro, grow up. If you're 80-something, whatever, man, you just had grow up, bro. Like, I get it. You have gotten everything in life that you could have ever possibly wanted. And if you're real serious about being all in, if you're real serious about trying to win a Super Bowl, before you off this earthly plane, bro, I need you to check your damn ego. I need you to stop being the GM, and I need you to do some shit to actually make the team move forward. That's all I'm saying. Now, you can take everything I'm saying. You probably don't give a fuck. You're never going to see this. And there might be people in here that I'm saying that I'm delusional. But, like, again, as a fan, as someone that's buying in this product, I would genuinely expect that you're trying to do better. I understand now why my friends who are diehard Laker fans are frustrated as hell about things that have been going on, man. I get it. And that has been the curse of being a Cowboys fan as far as this is. I'm tired of Stephen A. Smith being able to run his mouth. I'm tired of all these people putting all these fucking memes out here. And all of that keeps happening because you keep making decisions that protect your ego instead of actually accelerating the team to the next level. I think Dak is that dude. I think CD is that dude. I think Micah is that dude. But there are things that need to be put into place to make us better. We need that run game. We need to see Micah be able to get involved in said run defense like that. So you got to give him those keys and you got to give him the right coaching staff to be able to get there. And this idea of waiting all summer, you knew you were going to pay Dak and CD and you waited until the 11th hour to do that. And then on top of that, again, you let like a gem like Derrick Henry, who's probably going to go down as the best running back of this generation. It would be Adrian Peterson and then probably him as far as like that stepping stone of who was that number one. You let him go over $6 million. I don't know all of your finances. I don't know the full team salary cap and how you would have worked that out, but there's no way in hell that if you had gone to Dak and CD been like, guys, I'm not going to give you the $60 million a year, Dak. I'm going to give you 55 or 57. I'm not going to give you I believe it was, 6 or whatever he's giving CD. I'm going to cut it both back so I can go get y'all Derrick fucking Henry, and you're going to get paid and win a Super Bowl. You do shit like that. That shows that you're genuinely all in. Jesus Christ, man. I'm tired of this shit. The simple fact, I'm not like cheering, but the simple fact that like I find myself actually really happy for other teams that should be rivals, like to see Caleb Williams figuring it out and the Bears looking like they might finally be over the woes. But to see Jaden Daniels over in Washington and know that Dan Quinn over with this head coaching job, and I'm actually like, man, good for y'all. I should not be saying that about Washington for any fucking reason, but I've ranted enough. There's plenty of other stories we need to get to. Let me know what you think down in the comments about Jerry Jones's comments, if you think they're inappropriate to have said to his employees that asked basic questions. They did not grill him. They did not get into personal accounts. They asked the GM, that was the guest, F the owner, the GM was being asked questions. Tell me what you think, man. Damn. Let's go to the next story. It's now time for Diddy or Didn't He? Diddy Watch 2024. The first 6 lawsuits from Tony Buzbee, 4 have been filed. 4 of the 6 feature male accusers, 1 with a female college student, and graphic details. So let me give you a warning on that. I'm going to try and edit as much of the language as I can here. but just be warned, trigger warning for sexual assault and rape. This is from TMZ. The floodgates are open and Diddy is being sued left and right by people who claim he sexually assaulted them, including a handful of men. Diddy has now been named in 6 separate lawsuits filed by Tony Buzbee, the Texas attorney who says he's representing up to 120 alleged Diddy victims. And 4 of the 6 filed so far have featured male accusers. In one suit, a man says he was working for Echo Clothing back in 2008 and knew Diddy through his work, as Diddy was developing and marketing Sean John, a competing brand. He says he ran into Diddy and Diddy's 3 bodyguards in the stockroom of Macy's flagship store in New York City in May of 2008, and he claims someone pistol whipped the back of his neck and caused him to fall to his hands and knees. He claims Diddy approached him and said, "S my D, Echo," and brutally orally him. In another suit, a man claims he was hired to work security for Diddy's 2006 white party, where he believes he consumed a drink laced with GHB and or ecstasy. He says Diddy forced him into a van, overpowered him, and sexually assaulted him. The man claims Diddy inserted his penis into the man's anus and sodomized him. He says the alleged rape resulted in semen leaking out of his body. Another man suing Diddy claims he went to a Diddy party in October 2021 where he became disoriented after consuming 1 drink. He says the room started spinning and the next thing he remembers is being in a bedroom paralyzed. He says at least 3 men sexually assaulted him through sodomy and other forced acts and claimed he distinctly recalls seeing a naked Diddy above him at one point during the alleged assault. A 4th lawsuit is from a man who says he was only 16 years old when he was invited into Diddy's 1998 white party in the Hamptons, where he says they snapped a photo together. He says Diddy took an interest in him and took him to a more private area to chat, where Diddy told him he had the right look for the music industry and he could be made into a star with Diddy's help. He claims Diddy abruptly told him to drop his pants and expose his penis for inspection, with Diddy saying it was a rite of passage and asking, "Don't you want to break into the business?" He says he succumbed and dropped his pants, exposing his penis, and claims Diddy cupped and held on to his genitals, squeezing and feeling them. In yet another lawsuit filing, it was alleged Diddy forced a college freshman to take her clothes off under the threat of violence, and once she was undressed, he forced himself on her and fondled, molested, and raped her, all while she was begging him to stop, at least according to the new lawsuit. The Bad Boy Records founder is being sued by a woman in Tennessee who claims that she was only 19 years old and a freshman in college in 2004 when she got invited to Diddy's photo shoot across the street from her college campus in Brooklyn, New York. According to the lawsuit obtained by TMZ, the woman says she was flattered and excited to receive an invite from a celebrity like Diddy, so she went to the photo shoot with one of her girlfriends, where she says they met Diddy and were invited to an after party at a Manhattan area Marriott hotel. The woman says she and her friend agreed to go to the party, and they were taken to the hotel by a member of Diddy's entourage. And when they got to the hotel suite and tried to mingle with guests, drinking and listening to music, they were instead grabbed and taken into a separate room. She says she asked the guy who took her to the room where they were going, and he responded, "You know what you're here for." In the docs, the woman says she and her friend were then locked inside a room with Diddy, and she says he gave them drinks and told them to do cocaine that he had prepared for use on the table. She says she didn't want to do the coke, and Diddy continued getting gradually more aggressive with her and her friend to the point where he began touching them without consent. The woman says when they resisted, Diddy ordered her friend to perform oral sex on him and threatened to kill them both if she didn't. The woman says her friend compiled and begged Diddy to let them leave, to which he did not agree. In her suit, the woman says Diddy soon turned his sights to her and forced her to undress under threat of violence, allegedly forcing himself on her and sexually assaulting her. She says the door to the room ultimately opened. She believes it was due to her cries, and the security guard who had brought them to the room came in to ask if everything was all right. And that's when her friend bolted out of the room. The woman says she couldn't escape, though, because Diddy was still on top of her. The woman who is suing as a Jane Doe says Diddy got off to talk to the security guard, and the men left the room, and Diddy told her to stay, threatening to kill her if she left. She says she stayed in the dark room by herself for about 30 minutes until a different security guard came and told her she could leave. She says she got her things left and immediately called a taxi to her college dorm. Some 20 years later, the woman is now suing, and she wants a jury trial. She's being repped by Tony Buzbee, the attorney who says he's representing 120 alleged Diddy victims, as mentioned previously. Diddy's Bad Boy corporations are also being sued, as is Marriott International. Buzbee says Marriott management was well aware of Diddy and his activities and looked the other way rather than intervene. Diddy's legal team is denying the allegations, telling TMZ, in court, the truth will prevail that Mr. Combs has never sexually assaulted anyone, adult or minor, man or woman. I continue to cover this because I really feel that Diddy needs to really be held accountable as this goes. This isn't like the Amber Heard, Johnny Depp situation, which really felt like gross entertainment that people were amused by one way or the other. This is from the standpoint of, you're talking about a man with an insane amount of power that clearly, based off of all these allegations, abused the hell out of it. At the very least, part of the reason why I am more inclined to believe all of this, by seeing the video of what he did to Cassie and knowing that she openly said she was afraid to speak out about anything because of threat of death and all of that, I am more inclined to believe every one of these stories that comes out. Now, I hold judgment on each individual lawsuit and story until they go through court. The evidence is presented, they're tried and all that kind of stuff. But even if Diddy didn't do all 120 of these lawsuits that are coming one way or the other, ain't no way, bro, that he didn't do a vast majority of these, or at least a number of them. This is obviously all alleged. This is obviously all lawsuits that are going, but this shit is too consistent. It's too sick. There's too many breadcrumbs all over the place with how celebrities have moved around him, to see the way Justin Bieber really just looks so goddamn uncomfortable. Again, what happened to Cassie? Everything you have just kind of heard over the years and things like that. And when you just look at his behavior in general, you see him in various interviews. You have things like the Boondocks calling it out. I've said this and every time I've covered this, man. Diddy did a lot of this, in my opinion. That's obviously all alleged, but there's too much here for this to happen. And the feds don't go after you unless they got something real to pop off, man. So I really need to see this man put under the jail that R. Kelly is in and to deal with that. And anybody that's saying, oh, they're just trying to take down another powerful black man, bro, fuck you on that shit. If the proof comes out that all of this was made up and things like that, we can have a whole separate conversation. But this is that situation where enough evidence has been presented to take it very seriously. We need to listen to every single victim that's spoken up here, and you weed it out. Anybody that is full of shit, I hope that they end up serving whatever time too, because you make the case harder for everybody that's trying to call out Diddy for this, and you make just cases in general for anybody that's gone through this that much harder. So if anybody is lying about their shit, you can go fuck yourself, and I hope bad things happen to you. But I don't believe that's the case with the vast majority of these people, and they need to see justice. Diddy needs to see justice. Like, they need to he needs to pay for what he's done, because this is disgusting. This is absolutely gross what you've done to this many people, and you've done it for so long, man. And like they say, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I think as Bad Boy became bigger and bigger, and people have said that, he's probably behind Pac and Biggie getting shot, The number of people that were about to speak on Diddy, and they mysteriously died of pneumonia. And so there's been talks about that. There is no doubt in my mind that the violence that has been talked about, not just the sexual violence, but the violence in general that Diddy has done, is very true. So let alone this. If Suge Knight's ass is out here calling you on some shit, man, well, those are my thoughts. What do you think about these latest allegations, man? Have you been following the story? Please let me know if there's anything that you want me to cover in Diddy Watch, Diddy or Didn't. Please let me know. Let me know in the comments. Let's go on to the next story. All right, y'all. So obviously you were aware of the fact that Agatha all along has been going on. I've been kind of doing my coverage on that. I am very excited about the new episode that'll be dropping tonight. The mid-season trailer dropped yesterday, so I'm going to do a reaction in real time of the mid-season trailer. So let's go ahead and get this propped up, and let's get it popping in 3, 2, 1.
What does Billy Maximoff want at the end of the road?
Power doesn't interest me. I want something else, something more.
2 harbingers of doom? to us in this trial is Agatha Harkness.
I do not trust you.
You're so much like your mother.
Oh, wow.
Feels like there's a story there.
So maybe...
Get ready for fireworks! Get ready for spectacle!
In the end, all roads lead to me.
Admit it. You prefer me.
Horizontal? In a grave?
This can end right here, right now.
Will Agatha Harkness finally meet her end?
Agatha All Along. First 5 episodes now streaming only on Disney+.
Wow. Okay. Amazing. So a couple things. I mean, I think first of all, I still think that the Penguin, just based off of what's going on there, will probably win for costuming. But I think you will have a situation where Agatha All Along will be up for costumes for sure, and it'll be a tight race. Honestly, I think it'll be a pretty tight race. I think there's a new season of Bridgerton, so that'll obviously probably be in the mix. But I am really loving what Agatha All Along has been doing. I've said this multiple times. I think there you go, Billy Maximoff. We fully got it. It is Wiccan. I think what we're going to end up seeing in this next episode tonight is how he got there. So most likely, as you saw that car accident, he's probably somebody else, died, and then I think the spirit of Wiccan, as the hex dissipated, probably ended up inhabiting his body. And so I think that that's what you're going to end up seeing here. I kind of called that, and I knew that it was coming, both off of my own instincts. I'm sure a lot of people saw that too, but then also my buddy is a huge comic buff, and he was like, I don't even want to watch Agatha until it's all over because I don't want to deal with all of the negative discourse, and I already know what story they're doing. I'm like, all right, bro, all right. Joe, if you're watching, I'm just teasing you, bro. But I was actually pleasantly surprised in how they did this. I think they did it pretty well, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the show ends because I think it's been a very strong show. But let me know what you think about this trailer. Let me know what you think about the rest of the season and what you hope to see. I don't know if we're going to necessarily see Mephisto in here. There's been some stuff on the internet talking about, October 13th is, also Sacha Baron Cohen's birthday, and that was circled on the calendar in the show. So since he's rumored to play Mephisto, like, is that going to be when, is that what's going to happen if the show is on October 13th? Is he going to appear? We'll see, but let me know what you think down in the comments, and let's go to the next story. A rumor is circulating that Marvel Studios is planning a Deadpool and Wolverine sequel. This is from Mark Cassidy at Comic Book Movie. Though this will hardly come as much of a surprise after the movie's incredible box office success, we're hearing that Marvel Studios is planning a sequel to Deadpool and Wolverine. The project is unlikely to be in development stages yet, but Scooper My Time to Shine Hello claims discussions are underway. Sean Levy's superhero team-up is now the highest-grossing R-rated movie of all time and is actually still breaking records. After debuting on digital platforms on October 1st, Deadpool and Wolverine became the best-selling R-rated movie of all time in its first week of availability domestically. The movie also passed Avengers' $622 million domestic haul to become the 5th biggest comic book movie ever in the U.S. and climb higher in the ranks of the highest-grossing movies of all time worldwide, having officially grossed over $1.31 billion globally. Deadpool and Wolverine passed Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom to become the 21st highest-grossing movie ever. Though we are expecting the Merc with the Mouth and Logan to join forces again in Avengers Secret Wars, a direct follow-up to Deadpool and Wolverine was probably inevitable given these numbers. Both Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman have expressed interest in returning during interviews, but we're careful not to suggest that anything was actually in the works. All right. Okay, I'm not surprised in the sense that, you don't show that kind of success, you don't make that kind of money, you don't have that kind of chemistry and critical acclaim, and then just kind of walk away from it, especially if your stars are willing to do more than that. I will say, I don't want us to get lost in the sauce of all of it. I do think that them teaming up again is a fun notion, but I really just want the what I am more concerned about is the MCU as a whole, figuring its stuff out, making sure that we're on the right path again, that we're continuing to have bangers, because there's already been the rumors. We talked about this on Capes and Cows last week. There have been rumors that the Brave New World, initial test screenings did not go well. And this isn't the pre-reshoots. I'm talking about the stuff that is done now did not necessarily test very well, and that concerns me. If you figure it out and it works out, great. Thunderbolts looks like it's going to be pretty good. Fantastic Four is, a linchpin moment, but what you can't have happen is that you try and shoehorn stuff in and then you end up shooting it in the foot. Like, I've been very vocal. I'm not very happy about the talks about what's happening with Spider-Man because Sony is like, we got to chase, that pink dragon, chase that unicorn that was No Way Home and kind of shoehorn Tobey and Garfield back into it instead of getting what a lot of people have been asking for, a street-level Spider-Man. I don't need him to go more cosmic. I need him to be less cosmic and then build up to a moment like that. That has been a lot of those concerns, so it's just very frustrating if you were so chasing the almighty dollar that you sacrifice the art which will get you the dollar in the first place. Those are the things that are running through my mind. I'm curious what you think. I think that it would be an awesome team up to see them do it again. I said I was a little more interested in Deadpool and Spidey kind of, having a thing. And if you were going to do it, maybe Deadpool and Garfield. Not that him and Holland wouldn't be funny, but there would be something very specific with Garfield and Ryan Reynolds that I think would be hysterical and spot on. But I'm not opposed to a sequel. This needs to not be priority number one. I need to make sure that the main overall story, because that is what overall MCU fans are looking for. I want to make sure that that is solid. So let me know what you think in the comments. If this is a good idea or not. Let's go to the next story. James Gunn says DC Studios' DCU slate remains in development, but warns some may not come to fruition. This is Josh Wilding from Comic Book Movie. Last January, DC Studios co-CEOs James Gunn and Peter Safran announced a slate of upcoming DCU movies and TV shows. On the big screen, fans were promised Superman, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, The Authority, The Brave and the Bold, and Swamp Thing. As for the small screen, Creature Commandos, Lanterns, Waller, Paradise Lost, and Booster Gold were all unveiled. Last year's WGA and SAG-AFTRA strikes slowed things down a little bit, but Superman is in post-production, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is gearing up to begin shooting soon, and Lanterns is assembling its cast. Creature Commandos is also fast approaching. However, the DCU slate has continued to evolve. Peacemaker Season 2 seemingly came out of the blue, while the trades have shared word on an animated Blue Beetle and Robin projects, along with movies revolving around the Teen Titans, Bane, and Deathstroke. Definitive updates on many of the titles announced last year have also been few and far between. Talking to Threads, Gunn set out to clear the air by explaining. Just to clarify, I said everything we originally announced was still in development, not that it's still coming. It all depends on the scripts. We never put a half-assed script in production just because it was announced. While it doesn't necessarily sound like Gunn is saying some of the announced movies and TV shows won't happen, that Chapter 1 Gods and Monsters slate doesn't appear to be set in stone as we expected. How wise it was to announce projects in development rather than those guaranteed to happen is up for debate. Unfortunately, this brings back memories of the DCEU slate unveiling, which prematurely hyped up the likes of Cyborg and Justice League 2. Asked why they were announced, Gunn added, because they would all get out there with or without us announcing, as projects since have, so we simply announced the projects we were putting in development. I wish we lived in a world where I could wait to have a script before the development of a project got out, the filmmaker concluded. All right. Yeah, I think that this is two things going on here. On the one hand, I am kind of the mindset, and hearing what Gunn is saying, it kind of sucks that you can't just go cook, and once you really feel good about the meal you're going to prepare, then present it. We live in a world that people are like, I need to know what you're going to do for the next whatever. At the same time, I feel like even with all the scoopers, you can deny them, you can tell them to kick rocks or whatever else. It probably would have been better, but I'm sure this was pressure from Zaslav. I'm sure there's pressure from investors, and let alone pressure from all the fans, both good and toxic. Okay, Big Shot, you're head of the studio. You're essentially, you and Peter are now essentially Kevin Feige. So what have you got? What are you bringing to the table? So there is all of that, and I understand that. But I think that it might have been a mistake to announce as much as you did. Announce the 1 to 3 movies that are for sure. We are doing Superman. We are doing Supergirl. We are doing The Brave and the Bold. Bet. Give me 2, maybe 3 shows. We're doing Creature Commandos. We're doing Peacemaker. We're doing Dynamic Duos. And then from that point forward, once you get closer to Superman coming out, you go, and now we want to announce the next step, and here is, we're going to add Wonder Woman, and we're going to add, lanterns, whatever. Only in the sense that since we can't live in an age where you can just announce the one movie anymore, unfortunately, at the very least, you want to mitigate yourself to be open for shots, because at the end of the day, like you said, things can kind of get out if it's in development. Okay, sure. But unless there's an official announcement, all that shit ultimately becomes rumors. Kick fucking rocks. I genuinely hope that all of this comes to fruition, that all of it is very good. I grew up watching way more DC stuff than I did Marvel. I probably read more Marvel, but I watched a lot more DC. And Batman has a very special place in my heart. Static Shock has a very special place in my heart. That's a project I would love to see. That original Justice League cartoon, all of that, man. I want DC to do well. I really, really do. People think that I'm just about Marvel because as much as I love the X-Men, which I probably would say is my favorite comic superhero franchise of all time, outside of, say, Dragon Ball, which, God, Sparking Zero, Jesus. But I really, really, really wish that they would just take their time and focus on making your art. I understand it's a business and you definitely have to make business announcements and decisions, and there's going to be pressure to do that. But you are such a visionary, James, and so is Peter, that I really hope that you don't let the pressure from good or shitty fans, from investors, from Zaslav, interfere with what you're attempting to do, because I do have faith that you guys will make it happen. So either way, I'm curious what you think about the premature announcements. If you think it, was too much, if you wish they had held back, let me know what you think down in the comments. And let's go to our last story. Now, we talked about this for a brief moment on Capes and Cows last week, but Kevin Smith is apparently bringing Dogma back to theaters and a home release. This is from Glenn Garner from Deadline. As a controversial Kevin Smith movie celebrates its 25th anniversary, Dogma is getting a re-release. The View Askew-niverse director revealed that his 1999 religious satire is returning to theaters and getting a new home release after another company purchased the distribution rights from Miramax. The movie's been bought away from the guy that had it for years and whatnot, he said on that hashtag show. The company that bought it, we met with them a couple months ago. They were like, would you be interested in re-releasing it and touring it like you do with your movies? And I said, 100%. Are you kidding me? Touring a movie that I know people like and it's sentimental and nostalgic? We'll clean up. Smith continued, right now, 2024 is our 25th anniversary this year. November is when we came out, so I think 2025, it looks like, is when the movement's going to happen there. Back on home video, then back out in theaters, and I'll tour it and stuff like that. This will be the first time the movie has been available to stream since its 1999 premiere, while hard copies of the title remain a rarity. Dogma stars Ben Affleck and Matt Damon as Bartleby and Loki, two fallen angels who make their way to New Jersey for a loophole that will get them back into heaven. The film also features Linda Fiorentino, Salma Hayek, Alan Rickman, Chris Rock, Jason Lee, and Alanis Morissette, as well as Jason Mewes and Smith reprising the roles as Jay and Silent Bob. This film served as the fourth installment in the Smith's View Askew-niverse, which also includes Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Clerks 2, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, and Clerks 3. Smith noted that the new Dogma deal could potentially lead to sequels, TV versions, in terms of extending the story, something we could never do before. So exciting, man, and all those people who worked in it are still viable. After Harvey Weinstein was accused of sexual assault by multiple women in 2017, Smith expressed that he was ashamed to have worked with the producer early in his career. He also pledged to donate all future residuals from his Miramax and Weinstein company work to women in film. Smith said at the time that Weinstein had recently approached to make a Dogma 2, an offer that the director declined. Well, hopefully that will change now that he is not involved. I can't say anymore how I love this. This is one of my favorite films of all time. It's absolutely hysterical. It's Kevin Smith at his best. It does so much about philosophy and religion and how people treat all of that and culture. There's just so much there. And there's a lot to be said both inside the film, but then also how people have responded to the film. I am so happy to hear that it's released from Miramax and Weinstein and all that nonsense. I'm so happy to hear that a sequel could come out of it. And I'm just happy for Kevin Smith. I feel like you got one of your babies back, man, and you can really celebrate it. I've been very frustrated that I haven't been able to find Dogma anywhere, and I don't have my old DVD anymore, so it's just kind of buried in my memory as a movie that I absolutely love. Somebody did have a recording of it that I got to watch probably about 4 or 5 years ago. But either way, I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm glad that we're getting a second opportunity to see it. So let me know in the comments, have you seen Dogma? Is it one of your Kevin Smith favorites? I'm hoping, because Coy is good friends with him, both from comic book shopping and from our Schmodown days, that he'll be able to find a way to get me to whatever premiere tour thing that's happening out here when that happens. But either way, again, let me know what you think, man. And with that, that's going to be the show. Thank you so much for tuning into the Blerd Breakdown, man. Please be sure, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit a like button if you enjoyed the show, man, and leave a comment on your favorite story, things that are going on, how you feel about it, everything from Jerry Jones's ass to Dogma to Diddy's crazy ass. All of it. Let me know what you think. Please check out all the other videos that you see on the page, man. If you want to watch this clipped out, you can do that. I certainly appreciate it if you want to go ahead and just let that happen. If you just want to run a playlist, I have plenty of them from sketches and interviews or whatever, please go and do that. I'm excited. Next week, we'll see what happens. I'm going to try and get more stuff out as well. I will be out of town doing a pretty major interview with Netflix for a new project. I can't, not one that I'm going to be in. I'm going to be serving as a host doing interview stuff. I can't really talk about it quite yet, but you will hear about it once we do all that and whatnot. So that'll be a lot of fun. Other than that, I'm also excited that in a couple of weeks, my Sam's Club commercial will be coming out. That'll be fun. Later this week, I'm going to be doing some Sparking Zero streaming, probably tomorrow, Thursday. Game Time with Roca, Capes and Cows on the Christian Harloff channel, Spill the Tequila, hopefully. We're trying to see if we can get that scheduling worked out. All of that good stuff, man. I genuinely appreciate everybody that's here for that. As soon as I wrap this up this evening, I've got my Agatha thing going for tonight. I will be doing a Friday Funnies again. I'm excited. That's really just going to be like a reaction show of both funny videos, but other stuff you should see that I think that are important videos that have come out and I want to discuss with you guys, or stuff that people have sent me. So feel free, and I'll do again some Am I the Asshole reactions as well. So that's pretty much everything that's going on. I got much love for each and every one of you, y'all. Please be sure to click one of these guys that are up right here. And until then, man, y'all stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one.